So welcome. Good morning to our Wednesday coffee chat. I love seeing all of your bright, shiny faces. I know you have such busy days today, but today I really wanted to talk about the very best thing that we have to offer as Touchstone Crystal, which is our business opportunity. The thing that I have observed over many years is that even though we say that, because we know in our head it's true, and there are times in our heart that we know it's true, we don't always act like it. And even if we wanted to act like it, we're not even sure what to do and what to say. And I know when I started in the industry for many, many years, I just thought, if I can just be cheerful enough, if I can just smile big enough, if I can just say all the right things, if I had just the right words to say, I know I could convince a whole lot more people, because there were all these people who were sponsoring a lot of new team members and I wasn't. And I thought, well, I'm just not sunshiny enough. Clearly, I'm never going to be that girl, right? That is the magnet that everybody's going to want to follow and join her team. I didn't understand some things. And so what I want to do is lay the platform for what I really believe that sponsoring is all about, what our mindset and our posture need to be, and how to execute an actual conversation with people, like all the sort of different ways of talking with people about this, but always having that mindset. So the mindset is that I am curious about her, whoever it is that I am offering the business to, or just mentioning it. I'm not even offering. I don't even like the word offering. I like the word mentioning the business to. So if I'm mentioning to her, I have two things in mind. I have, who is she? What is she all about? And the second one is, would this be a good fit for her? So, but that requires a lot of curiosity. What's the opposite of that? The opposite of who is she and would this be a good fit for her? The opposite of that is, how much can I tell her so that I can get her interested? And if I just pour more gas on that little light, I'm sure it's just going to explode into a wild passion for Touchstone Crystal, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't usually. Sometimes it does. On rare occasion, it'll work that way. You pour on the gas. The more information they get, the more excited they are. More often than that, it's a sincere, heartfelt conversation that you try to have right away with the person. So it's going to start with, you notice a little spark of curiosity on her part. Maybe you said something, maybe you're at a party, maybe you're on a Zoom, maybe you're just texting with her and you've mentioned about the business. So then what happens? She says, yeah, I'd like to hear a little bit more, or I was kind of wondering about that. Well, what do? We're like, oh, I gotta tell her all this stuff, right? Because we're so excited. Oh my gosh, I have somebody who's curious and interested. And I mean, we used to do a really funny little skit where we would pretend that somebody was like a little bit interested, and the other consultant would be like, oh, I'm so glad you're interested. Oh my gosh, it's the best company. We have so much fun together. And you know what? We could go to Glam Jam, and we could actually earn incentive trips. We could go to St. Thomas, or we could go to Aruba. And we can make so many new friends, and we just have the best time. And we have trainings on Tuesday nights. And oh my gosh, by that time she's like, this is an insane asylum. I don't want any parts of this. Meanwhile, if we can figure out a way to sit back and figure out who she is and why she's interested, and help her to know that what we care about is if this is a good fit for her or not, right? It takes a very different mindset despite our excitement. Okay, so a lot of it is tamping down ourselves. The second part of it is figuring out, what are the things I'm going to say as soon as someone expresses an interest. So we're not going to talk about how to create the interest. That's a whole other training. We're going to talk about, what do we do in that moment when she says, I'm a little bit curious, right? So what's the first thing that you would normally do when says, yeah, actually, I might be a little bit curious? That's the text that you just got. I might be a little bit curious. What's the knee-jerk reaction? Great, here's the starter kit.
Yeah.
Great, here's what you can get, right? I mean, that's not bad, because it's true. It's all good. And it maybe helps to fan her flame. What would happen if we took a breath first and said, great, I'll send you the starter kit in a minute. I'm curious. Why are you curious?
Why are you interested?
Yeah. Why are you, yeah, because then it might not even be interest. So I'm a little, that word kind of scares me unless she's like full board and has a bunch of questions. If she's just a little curious, I want to watch my words too. I want to match my words with her words and ask a question. So I'm going to send you a couple things in a second, but first fill me in. Why are you curious? Or what sparks your curiosity? Because I want to hear what it is. Because if it's the money, I don't want to talk so much about the jewelry. If it's the jewelry, I don't want to be talking to her about how much she can make. Right. If it's, I want to quit my job and I'm looking for something to do. I'm bored and I want to hop. Nope, said nobody ever. I'm bored. Or, not these days. Everybody's so busy. They're not bored. We want to know where she's coming from. So let's say she says, I don't know, I just really love the jewelry. I thought it was really beautiful. If I'm not sure where to go with that, I'm going to ask her a whole other question. Have you ever tried anything like this before? Because maybe she's like a serial direct seller, or maybe she's never done that. And this is really unique for her to even be thinking about this. I want to know who I'm talking to. I've got to have that curiosity. It's not about me telling her stuff. It's about me figuring out who she is and trying to answer those questions and helping her to know that I just want it to be a good fit for her. So who wants to be a guinea pig? Let's dive in and let's pretend that you are a potential curious consultant. You be that and I'll be a consultant, and then we'll switch. Amy Starr is trying to unmute. How did I know that?
Can I ask a question? Actually,
Yeah.
I know I just missed some stuff because of course I got a phone call from a client. They didn't come in, they called. So I missed the whole beginning part, but just a question, because I had this situation happen to me the other day where my current hostess is a rock star. Like she owns apparently tons of Touchstone, had no idea she owned tons of Touchstone. She's apparently bought from other people before. I don't know who these other people are. She's here in Maine. We're not connected to any of this, like the same people on Facebook. So it's not anybody that I know through Touchstone that's in Maine, but she has all of these pieces. And every single thing that I say, she's like, oh my God, I love that one so much. Oh, I have that one. Oh, I have that one in this color. So finally, I was like, this is crazy. So I'm going to have the conversation with her. And her answer was, she was going to, politely decline that, she's been asked to do Color Street before too, that she knows that she seems to be, really social and good at this kind of stuff. But, she declined the Color Street stuff too. And so my answer to her was, I totally respect that. I get it. I just want you to know that I rarely approach somebody like this and I see a spark in you. And I'm here if you ever want to talk, kind of thing. I'm just curious as to like how other people would respond to like, I haven't approached to do, X, Y, and Z, but I didn't do that either. But it's like, clearly there's something there.
So that's a slightly different tangent, but I'll give you a quick answer of possibly what I might have done in that moment was to ask her why not. And just find out.
Well, we had a little bit of a conversation and she told me it was time. And I said to her, girl, if time is the issue, we can work through that. I said, because for me, time is my biggest issue.
Yes, right. But then actually it's the want to. If somebody says time, then it's actually a want to issue.
Yeah.
Because just like you, Amy, you've proven that if you really want to, you'll find the time, right?
You'll find the time, right? That's basically what I said to her. If it's important, you'll figure out a way to make it have space in your life.
Yeah, and again, so that turns into a question that I would ask her. I mean, I'm always about the questions. So I would have said, yeah, I can see that. Where would you find the time? I don't know. So often we say, well, you can find the time. We have to throw these things back on people, but that's in the middle of a conversation. Yeah. I'm curious though, just as an aside, why did you say I rarely offer this? Because I'm hoping you're offering it to a lot of people, not just the Spark.
No, I do.
Okay.
But
you were being complimentary.
yes, I wanted her to
Okay,
feel
just
really
making sure.
special. I wanted her to feel really special and important.
She sounds very special, actually. She really does.
She honestly is. And she's having her 99-year-old grandfather is on his deathbed. And in the middle of the party, the night that we were doing the Zoom, she took off from Maine and drove to New York and has been slightly MIA, but still texting me every 5 minutes. So she is super special. She would be an amazing addition to our team if I could ever get her there. But
you're very well
yeah.
Again.
But yeah, no, that was me trying to pump her up.
It's about right. It is about the good fit. Okay, so who wants to be the the party guest or the customer or whatever? Play act with me. Pretend you're not in the company yet.
I'll do it.
Thank you, Debbie. I was just about to call on you.
I know you were. I saw that look. Okay, we're gonna let
You may as well. You may as well dive in.
I do have a comment to make to Amy though. If the lady said, it's a time issue, I just don't have the time, if that is what she said, why wouldn't you ask, well, how much time do you think it would take? How much time do you think it would take to do this business? Or I'm curious, how much time do you feel you need to put into this, or something in that aspect?
Mhm.
I would be curious to know what she's thinking about time. I've had somebody say, oh, I just don't have the time. I don't have the time.
Mhm.
And I know that they would be really good. I would go, well, how much time do you think it would take? How much time? You thinking it's going to be 40-hour a week? You thinking it's 20? What?
Because they have a misconception sometimes. Yeah.
I'm curious about that one.
Curious.
I'm like, really?
Yeah. Another just occurred to me, Debbie, another question along those lines is, if you were to do this, how much time would you want to spend on it?
Yeah.
Because maybe she's got it in her head that she would want to spend 20 hours a week. And then my question would be, tell me why. Right?
Yeah.
Because I want to know why she thinks she wants to spend 20 hours.
That you can throw in 20 hours
Mhm.
this week or during a week.
Mhm.
You know.
Again, it's all part of the conversation. Okay, so Debbie, you and I are texting and you're my customer, and I've just said to you, hey, you know what? We've got such a great host special this month. I just wanted to mention to you that if you come in and you start selling Touchstone this month, you can get a boatload of fresh new spring jewelry.
Can you explain that to me? Like how much?
Sure.
Do you want me to be a negative or a positive here?
Curious. Just
curious. Okay.
Just a little bit sparky. You're a little sparky on this.
Okay. Okay, I can do this.
Right. So now you've just said like how much, right? You've just said like how much. Then I might say, because here I am texting, right? Because kind of how we roll. I would think for a minute, and I might say, let me show you real fast. And then because then I would try to show her like in really simple terms, $1,000 party, you get this much because of the special programs, right? But I would say, I'm trying to turn it into a question to find out what it is about, like what tipped her over to even want to know. There's something there. So like what would the question be? Like
I mean, how about just something so simple as, does that interest you?
Yeah, does
Getting
that
all this free jewelry, does that interest you?
Does that interest you? Okay, that's a good
Yeah.
question. Right, there you go. And then Debbie, what do you say to that?
I would say, yes, I'm very interested.
Tell me why.
I love the jewelry. I love the sparkle. I'm a sparkle girl. I just need to have some of this stuff.
Oh.
But I don't know where to go to. I don't know how to do this. I've never done direct sales.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. And then I would say, that's great to know. Here's a picture of the starter kit. What would you like to hear about first? Rather than me trying to tell her stuff. Because I don't really know what she wants to know. She's never done this before. What would you like to hear about first?
I would say, oh my goodness, we get all this jewelry
Mhm.
in the starter kit. Is there a way that I can get more?
Mhm. Definitely because of the special incentives that the company has offered for this month in particular. Would you be interested in trying something like that this month if it sounded good?
Sure,
Mhm.
I would like to. I would like to know more about what all these incentives are. I don't understand what you're talking about
Mhm.
incentives.
Mhm.
Could you explain that?
Right. And then I would lay it all out for her. Right. And then I would say, how does that feel for you?
Feels good.
Mhm. Tell me why. What would
Like I
what would this
said,
do for
I
you?
love the jewelry.
Mhm. She just wants the jewelry. Okay.
I need to make extra money because
Oh.
we're redoing our backyard. Plus, I'm retired, so we don't have a whole lot coming in. So I need to make that extra money.
Okay. How much, just out of curiosity, how much extra money per month would help?
As much as I can make.
Oh well, probably like $2,000 to $3,000 a month would sound really good.
Right.
My retirement is like,
Right.
yeah, I mean that would be really good.
Uh-huh.
And then I would probably ask you, is that a possibility?
Mm-hmm. Right. And the answer would be, it just depends on how many parties you want to do in a month. If you were to, and a lot of times I preface my questions with, if you were to do this, if you were to try this, how much time do you think you'd want to spend on it?
20 hours a week, maybe?
Mhm, mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I would probably say 20 hours a week or whatever I would need to do to be able to
To get that.
fulfill what my expectations would be. That's what I would say. Then I probably would also ask, is there training on this? I've never done this before.
Right, right, right.
I have a fear of maybe I won't be successful, being
Mhm.
that I've never done this before.
Right, right, right. So then I would have probably gone into, what would it be like for you to add this to your month? And then I would probably say, what do you want to learn about first? Or what are you most concerned? What are you most excited about? And then what are your questions? Again, it really is all about the questions, and then seeing what questions she comes back with as well. I'm trying to dig I'm trying to dig outside of just the nuts and bolts of the business, of doing the business itself. I want to answer her questions, but I want to figure out, where is this fitting in the bigger picture of her life? How does she see herself doing this? And so next I was going to ask her, how would this actually fit in with everything else that you do in your day, in your week?
It would fit in. It would fit in just perfect.
Mhm.
My fear of never being able to do, I've never done this before.
Mhm.
Where do I find the people?
Mhm.
And how do I go about doing any of this?
Right. Those are great questions. And that's what everybody always wants to know. So what we do is, once you decide to get started, we sit down and we make a list and we figure out who to offer parties to, and we get you rolling that way. We work on it together as a team. So you're not alone.
Okay.
And it's funny because other people will come at you like, oh, I've already got 3 hostesses in mind, right? Whereas some are,
Well, now I've never done it before, so I probably was saying, where do I find the people?
where do I find my people? Yeah.
Where do I find my people to be able to do this?
And that's where we have to reassure her that we're there to work through it with her before she even gets started. When they're nervous like that, I really like to offer to sit down with them before they even sign up, to start working on booking those parties before they ever sign up. And then that way she's got a sense of confidence that she's making headway. Like, why don't we sit down tonight for 30 minutes and work on that? And then later tonight after we're done, you can go ahead and we can order your kit. And then she'll have a feeling of like, okay, I'm already underway. One of the misnomers, just as a parenthesis, is that people think that they have to be signed up in order to start booking parties. And so that's actually not true at all. They can be booking parties as a precursor to even joining in the first place, so that they're building confidence working alongside of you. I mean, I wouldn't let that go on for forever, but like I know somebody who is doing her launch party in early March. She's going to join on March 1st, but I want to be working with her now to build out the rest of her March too. In the meantime.
So what if you had that person that was like, you know, like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I just love this jewelry and I want to find out. But how do I go about doing that? We're at a party.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are the consultant and I'm
Yeah.
just, you know, somebody that's just like,
Yep.
what?
And you're ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on occasion that happens. I say, great, tell me why.
I just love this jewelry. I just got to have it all. It's
Awesome.
not about money. I got to have this jewelry.
Gotta have it. Have you ever tried anything like this before?
No.
Never. Okay, awesome. Where you're such a busy girl, where would you fit this in?
Oh, I would work it out. Trust me.
Okay. And so when do you want to do your launch party?
What's a launch?
Well, that's just your first party where you invite all your friends. Because that's step number one, is figuring out when you want to do your launch party.
So, okay, I'm going to go really crazy. I'm going to say, but don't worry about it. Mary, Joseph, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to have a party. If I do it next week, can you come? Would that work?
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Next week.
Okay. All right. Let's pick a date. And she's enthusiastic, isn't she?
I'm making it crazy.
Oh, you know what I would do? I would say that is so much fun. So think about it. Hostesses in February who are consultants, brand new consultants, get $1,100 in jewelry with their $1,000 launch party. Would that be a good goal for you?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll make that our goal. Here's the link.
Okay, let's do it. I would probably maybe look around and say, I'm free on Wednesday night. Is that a night that would work for you? And me being wanting to sign up, booking my party, I would look at you and say, can we do it Wednesday night?
Right.
You know,
Yep.
maybe not. And maybe
You
you
can do
would say,
that,
no, I don't
sure.
work on Wednesdays. I can do it on Thursday.
Right. And there's
Yeah.
that give and take
Right.
for when
right.
to do the launch party next week.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it is funny because you are going to bump into people like that on occasion. I've had a few.
Yeah.
I've had a few where they're like, I'm ready to go. I already know this is what I want.
Uh-huh.
Even if they've just now seeing it. Right.
I
But
had
it's,
somebody
Can
do
I-
that.
Can I
ahead.
interject
yeah,
and be slightly negative?
sure.
Because as lovely as this conversation is, it's very rare for us to come across people that are like, yes, tell me more. Yes,
Right.
I want to hear this.
Uh-huh.
It rarely goes that way. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't,
And why is that?
and so that's the part that I'm struggling with, because I wish my conversations went like that.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
I wish that the person instantaneously is like, heck yes, I want to do this. Yeah, let's do a
Right.
launch party. Like, let's do
Right.
all of this.
Right.
It usually is a lot more than just
Mhm. One conversation.
to that. Yeah.
I agree.
It's true. But
It's
I did
very
have that
true.
happen to me.
Usually you end up at very often you end up at an impasse where she's interested, but not ready. And so you have to know, this is a part of the equation, is figuring out what to do with her next, how to help her to save face, because again, like I said, it's all about figuring out if it's a good fit for her right now in this moment. If she knows that that's our goal for her, that we're asking questions to help her identify if this is right for her right now, then it's easier to be able to say to her, I can see this is not the right time. Can I put you on my list and just stay in touch with you and keep showing you what pops up as time goes on? The answer is always yes. So then she gets added to a very long pipeline. And that's the key now, is you've got, when I say now, I mean, as soon as you're done with the conversation, you add her to your pipeline. Because over time, your consultants are coming from that pipeline. Rarely are they coming from that first conversation. But you have to know how to keep having that conversation so that you can distill down and add them to the pipeline in the first place. So you're right. It doesn't always end in, yay, I'm ready to get going. But if you can get to know her in the conversation because of your curiosity and determine that it's not a good fit right now, she has confidence in you that you're not going to try to talk her into anything. She's way more likely to say yes down the road when the timing is right. So your point is correct. Now, number one, we can up the chances by offering it to a whole lot more people than we ever did before. Right? We know that. But the second is having the conversations and adding these people to the pipeline. The sponsoring pipeline is key. You want to be developing as long a list as you possibly can. And so let's think about it. When do we then go back to her and show her something new? Anytime there's a new catalog, we send her one. Just thinking about you, looking forward to the day when we can have another conversation. Hope you want to join us sometime soon. Maybe it's when there's a new starter kit. Just thought about you, thought you'd like to see, maybe the timing is better now. How many times do I have people come onto the team because the timing was finally right? But because I stayed in touch with her, she was ready, she was willing to come on. If I had lost touch with her, she wasn't going to be coming back at me. In fact, she'd be forgetting about me. So the pipeline is a list of people that you're going to keep up with over time because you had these conversations, right? The conversations don't give us always the outcome that we want in that moment, but in fact they do, because we want what's right for her. That's always got to be our number one thing. So your point is totally valid, Amy. You're totally right. But on occasion, the answer is, yeah, I am thinking about, I want to do this right now. And we have to know in all those settings, in all those situations, you're going to run into all of them. How do we help her in that moment?
So why don't we do something like you're at a party
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, when you're at closing,
Mm-hmm.
and you must ask everybody, and we should be asking everybody. So why don't we role play that way? Of course, I'm going to be interested. All right.
Okay.
So why don't we role play it that way? Would that be something that those would be the questions that we would want to know what to ask them? Okay.
Right. Right. In case they are interested or a little bit
Right.
curious.
I mean, you've done your party, you've
Mhm.
planted the seeds.
Mhm.
You know, we're closing up my order.
Uh-huh.
You
Okay.
know, what would be the first thing that you would ask, and take it from there? And I'll be nice.
You'll be they're all nice. It's just a question of whether we like the answer or not. Debbie, you were all over the table. Have you ever thought about just doing what I do? You can have all that jewelry too.
No, I never really ever thought about it, but
Okay. Why not?
tonight, I have fears, but
Oh,
looking at this jewelry and listening to you, it's kind of crept into my head a little bit that
Okay.
it might be something that I might want to try.
any particular reason?
Yeah, I'm getting a little bored at home
Mhm.
and just wanting to go out and get some new girlfriends and
Mhm.
just have a couple nights out, just something fun to do.
Something fun. Yeah. Are you thinking about something soon or down the road?
I don't know. I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know that I can jump right in like
Yeah.
this month, but
Right.
it might be something I can think about a little bit and maybe do
What would
in the
help you
upcoming months.
yeah, sure. What would help you to decide?
Well, I don't know anything really about Touchstone, and I don't know anything really about what I would have to do to get started.
No.
Um,
Okay.
It would
Okay.
be something that I'd like to maybe research or learn a little bit about before I were to jump in.
Got it. Okay, of course. I'll tell you what, since we're, since we don't have all the time in the world tonight, do you want to set up a time tomorrow to connect on Zoom, or I can meet you for coffee?
Sure.
Okay,
Mhm.
great. Why
That
don't we
would be
just do it
great.
that way? And we'll see if it's a good fit.
Okay, sounds wonderful.
Okay.
I have a question. Do you have anything that I could bring home with me that I could look at?
Mhm.
Um,
Yep, I can give you
so
the
that will
catalog
be-
and this. I can give you the catalog and the starter kit, and I also have a copy of the Glam Plan, which is the new consultant incentive program. So that's kind of a start. I also
Okay.
brought along our Ready Set Glam guide, And it just kind of shows people how people might get started. It's kind of a neat way of seeing, kind of peeking behind the Touchstone crystal curtain. So I could give you one of those to take home too.
Okay, well, that would be wonderful. That
Yeah.
way it gives me an opportunity to look at it before I
Okay.
either have coffee with you or talk to you on the phone. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
So Debbie brings up a good point. Right before COVID happened, we were embarking on a new system, a new set of habits when we were checking people out at our live in-person parties, because at the time that's what we were doing. And it was all about, Debbie comes to check out with me, and I say, Debbie, I love your order. Let me work on this for you. Da-da. And, I love to send my customers home with a little bit of information about our business opportunity, because you heard me talking about it earlier. Would it be okay if I sent something home with you to take a peek at, and then I just do a quick follow-up with you tomorrow? And she's nodding yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So now what I'm sending home with her is either the business opportunity brochure. We have those in the back office that we can order. Maybe it's, if all we have is a picture of the starter kit, it could be something like that. And again, we're out of practice on this, but we were creating a habit of sending something home with people whenever they were willing to let us do that. And then we follow up with them on it to ask questions about it as a part of our thank you, for coming to the party, that kind of thing. Now, sometimes people would say, no, I'm not interested in that. And we would just graciously say, not a problem. And we would keep on going, right? We would say, great. Well, I hope you're thinking about doing your own party with me sometime soon. Was that on your radar? So then I'm going down to the concept of, do you want to book a party? So I started with the business. Now I'm down to the concept of the party. And a lot of times they're not going to say no to us twice. Sometimes they will. It's like, no. But I'm still going to offer all of that again to her tomorrow when I do my thank you follow-up, right? But we were developing a really nice little habit there of what to say that's easy, breezy, just to mention about the business opportunities, to send something home with people, knowing that a lot of times they are curious. It's sparked a little something in their brain, but they're too nervous in a crowd to say something. Happens all the time. Or so they were driving home, they started thinking about it, which happens all the time too.
Okay, I have another question. I'm full of them today.
Good.
Most of my parties are still virtual.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
people are still not willing to meet in person.
Right.
One of the biggest things that I hear back from people
Mhm.
is, oh, well, I'm not good at technology.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know how to use Zoom. I don't really understand how to use Facebook.
Right.
I'm just curious as to what other people say to
Yeah.
respond
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Because I'm being realistic, Glam
Yeah.
Central is entirely online.
Well, and
All
again,
of our training is online. We do Zoom calls.
yeah.
Most of what we have is online. You have to be able to download stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I look
You
at
have to be able
Kathy
to put
Almond.
orders in online.
I look at Kathy Almond, and who could not do anything in technology, and now she's the rock star. She's like, oh, yeah, it's true.
This is true.
It is really, really the truth. And Debbie Pickens is another even earlier example of that. I think that the question, there are two parts to the question. There's the training and back office side of it, but there's also the execution of the party. And if it's the execution of the party that's really the big issue, it's, you know what? When you get to where you would be comfortable doing live in-person parties, let's talk. Because at that point, we can set you up for success with live in-person parties. The back office stuff, we can teach you how to do it. And you can get somebody in your family member to help you with it as well. Because we want to put it back on her for the most part, to learn that with somebody in her family.
Amy, I have
We
a
would really
question.
encourage that person then to not do anything virtual because it's out of their comfort zone.
Well, my hope is that this is all right. I have to be really careful how I say this. This is just me talking. My hope is that in the long run, we go back to what we do best, which is live in-person parties. as a slight majority of the parties that we do as a company. We will always be doing Zoom parties because they have major benefits. But there are people who are doing really well right now who never even did a Zoom party. And all they're doing is live in-person parties in areas where everybody's comfortable with that, right? And they'll never do a Zoom party. So if somebody is truly technologically scared, that could be the thing that just sends them over the edge and causes them to say no. So the question really is, what are you willing to learn?
Are these people on a virtual party with you that you are asking them, or are just people just out and about that you've talked to?
No, they're all people that I've met virtually.
So they're already
Yeah.
on a party virtually.
So they know
Yeah.
something.
A Facebook party, for example. There's one person in particular that I'm thinking of that I met her through a friend's party.
Mhm.
The friend is my age. She is the mom of one of her friends. So she is probably in her mid to late 60s, and is terrified of technology. She uses Facebook,
Right.
but she's terrified, and she's one of my best customers. And we always joke about her doing this because I
Mhm.
think that she's interested,
Mhm.
but she hasn't quite been there yet. And I know she's also not meeting with people in person right now.
Mhm.
She's kind of limiting a lot of those interactions. And she's not here. She's not here in Maine. She's in Jersey. So she's
Mhm.
not even physically close to me. So I can't like physically go there and like help her with like a launch party or anything like that. So it's a little different. Because I'd love to do that. I'd be like, I'll come down to my parents and we'll do a launch party. I'll bring all my
Mhm.
stuff. Like, I mean, I could technically do that and plan it out and plan a visit around it. But
Mhm.
I want her to. I'm using her as the example. I would want her to
Mhm.
feel empowered
Mhm.
that she doesn't need me to do that. That she actually could do this
Mhm.
without me. And every time we do like anything on Zoom, she freaks out. I'm
Mhm.
gonna screw it up again. So it's like it's
Right.
always one of those. And she's such
Yeah.
a sweet person too.
And it might be that at some point it's better for her when it's all in person. Then
Yeah.
she's in again. That's where the pipeline is such a beautiful thing, where it's an intentional and she's in your pipeline.
Yeah.
I have a comment and a question on that. If she's already doing Facebook, I would emphasize the fact that she can do things on Facebook, but we want to do what you're comfortable with. And in your role plays, I noticed that you didn't refer to the opportunity calls that the company has or that some of the
Right.
groups have had. Would that have been
Yeah. Mhm.
appropriate to go in there somewhere when they're curious about information? Because I don't feel, I'm very, very part-time by choice mostly,
Yeah.
but I don't feel comfortable talking about the logistics of it or, how much you make or can make or what incentive goes with what. I
Yeah.
get kind of, tongue-tied on that. So
Mhm.
having that support and somebody
That's
else to
good.
step in and do that for me
Good.
would be very beneficial.
Good. Love that. Yep. Absolutely. I love that. As for anybody who's showing any curiosity, it's a great backup. Yeah.
And we have Sunday nights too.
And our Sunday nights.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mhm. So you bring up a great point, Debbie, and I wanted to close with that. So we created a group, a Facebook group called Fall in Love with we used to call it Fall in Love with TCS. Now it's called Fall in Love with TC Sparkle. And it's a permanent Facebook group just for the business opportunity that consultants on Team Sparkle, now Team Sparkle, can be a part of it, because Terry and I talked about it and we agreed that this will be a really fun thing for all of us to do together, and for Star Thrower team. So I'll post the link on the Team Sparkle page so that you all can find it and get added to it, and then you can invite your friends to it. So what happens is every Sunday night I post a series of pictures and comments from 8:30 to 9, and then I go live around 9:05 and I talk about what's particularly special about this month and why starting right now is the best time. And sometimes it's heartfelt, sometimes it's nuts and bolts. It just kind of depends. Occasionally, if there are a lot of guests, I might give away a gift. When we were using this at the beginning of COVID, in a very strong way. That was pretty much how we were sponsoring most of our team members. It was conversations and then inviting to this opportunity event. So now we have the Tuesday night opportunity calls that the company does every other or twice a month, and the Sunday night event. What I love about the Sunday night event is that it all stays put all week long, and it stays put forever. And when you go on there, you'll be able to go backwards to almost 2 years now to see all the different posts from all the years. I've turned off commenting on everything except the current week, because I don't want people scrolling backwards and fluffing that stuff up to the top of the page, because that's a pain. So, so anything that you could comment on would be within the last 7 days of posting. We're about to start adding live testimonials, people going live on there and sharing what this has been like for them. And this is a tool, for another tool, Carol, to your point, that you can add people to if they're on Facebook, and it allows them to see as a third party credibility, gives third party credibility to what you're saying. And so hopefully that'll become a really great tool for you to use with people that you're meeting on Facebook. Maybe it's the only way that you know them, and it's another opportunity. So I'll go on Team Sparkle and add that for you guys so you can
Thank
see
you.
it. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So Debbie, thank you for bringing it up. And then the next business opportunity call that the company is doing, that next webinar is next Tuesday night at 8:30. So we've got two big things coming up. And the key is to invite people to these things. And even if they don't get on, even if they said, sure, give me the information, but they don't get on, that's intel. And that's an opportunity to have a conversation with somebody. Because if they were willing and curious enough to get the information, then they want information. And that's a chance for us to have a conversation with them as well. Okay. Well, I hope this gave you at least one or two ideas, one or two word choices, one or two ways of thinking about this. You know, no one training is going to be everything for anybody, but the goal is to stimulate your thinking, analyze what you've been doing, what one or two things can I change up just a little bit to improve my pipeline and to grow my team. So any thought, any big ahas that you got from today? Something in particular, or word choice?
The only thing I can say is, I agree with you, Betsy. Not every little training when it comes to sponsoring is going to answer every one of your questions, but every time you come and you do one, you're going to walk away with at least one thing, which makes it so beneficial to you. And I will say that every time I do something with sponsoring, and I very rarely will miss it, I'm always walking away with something that I can try, or a word that I can use, or a question that I can ask. Because Betsy will tell you, I'm one of these honest to God girls. When somebody, if I offer it to somebody and they go no, I'm like, okay. Because to me, no means no. It doesn't mean, in my mind, no means no. They don't want to, they have no interest, and I'm not going to, I'm not going to push them. I'm not going to do anything. Now I have learned that when somebody says no, I have questions that I can ask, and nothing against them, but it's just my curiosity. And so just know that every time you come on something like this, you should be walking away with a couple of things, one thing, maybe two things that you can utilize and use for yourself. It's just a learning experience every time.
And by the way, Debbie, most of the top leaders in our company said no a couple of times to the business before they actually joined.
I'm not one of your top ones.
Well,
but
you're a great example of it. How many times did you say no to me over a couple of years? But you were in my pipeline.
Quite a few. Quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over a couple of years, you were in my pipeline, and then you finally said yes.
Quite a few.
Pipeline is everything. Yeah. Carol, did you want to say something, dear?
No.
You unmuted. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. Oops, now you're muted again, dear.
Oh. Okay, no, I'm just listening.
You're good. Okay. Thanks, ladies. So good to see all your beautiful faces. I hope you have a terrific day.
Thank
Love
you.
all. Thank
Bye.
you.